LCP is a nice little pocket 380, and we're going to get this one cleaned up. So first thing, safety check. There is no magazine in the handgun, and we'll go ahead and lock the slide back, do a visual check, also do a physical check, make sure there's no round in the chamber, and that's all good. So first thing we need to do is actually pop this retaining pin out. A spent shell casing actually works pretty well to do that, and at least to get it started. There we go. Got that one out, and then the slide will come right off the frame, and we'll set the frame over there. Then with the slide, we need to remove the spring and guide rod assembly. There is quite a bit of tension on here, so be careful. So you break that out. This one actually has two springs, an inner spring and an outer spring, and then the guide rod. So you want to break those apart too. And then the barrel comes out of the slide. Alright, so now we got that done. So have a couple of different types of cleaners here. This is Brea-Free CLP, and I also have some Otis clean bore that I'm going to be using. So first thing, let's go ahead and get some stuff sprayed on this slide. Let that sit for a second. Same thing with the barrel. We'll go ahead. These barrels get pretty dirty on these little handguns. And then the same thing with the spring and even the retaining pin. Alright, so on the slide, we'll just go ahead and use some of these patches to kind of clean that slide off. Again, it gets pretty dirty depending again on the type of ammo you use and how often you shoot it. But again, you really want to go ahead and clean it out after each trip to the range. Get it back in working order. The CLP is a cleaner and lubricant in one, so you really don't have to re-lubricate after you've cleaned it, which is kind of nice. Some people don't like that. They don't think it works as well. You know, from my experience, it seems to work pretty well, so I'm not too worried about it. Alright, that looks pretty good. So let's move on to the barrel. We use a cleaning brush made for a .380 caliber. And first thing we're going to do, this is the Otis cleaning kit, which works pretty well for me. Again, not trying to push any products, just saying what works for me. I'm actually going to use some of this Otis Ultra Bore Cleaner in addition to the CLP. Run that through a couple times, just get everything loosened up, then go back through with the brush. time with the wet Otis board cleaner. I did get some off, the brush loosened up. Then these are made to swap over so you can get a cleaner part of the cotton on there. Get a nice clean part, go through that again. With the wet patch, make sure you get that feed ramp clean. If you get a dirty feed ramp, you start getting jams. So now we'll go back through with a clean patch, a couple clean patches, get the barrel nice and clean. Sprayed the CLP on the guide rod and the springs, so we'll just get that cleaned off. Good. Same thing with the springs. Get those cleaned off. Get that put back together. Again, the larger spring goes, I put it on first. I don't know that it really matters, but the smaller spring, there's actually a wider area on the smaller spring that obviously goes towards the back, so that that will hook in with the slide. So once I get that done, then I will just put a drop or two of Hops lubricating oil on there just to make sure that's nice and wet. So there's that, and let's clean that retaining pin off slightly, and also just do a quick inspection of the frame. Alright, now we're ready for reassembly. On where the slide and the frame meet, which is a high friction area, I like to put a little bit of gun grease on there, just to have it nice and lubricated. The grease tends to stay on a little bit better than the oil, giving it a little bit more protection. So put a slight bit of that on there. Then we'll go ahead and start reassembling everything. So let's get the slide reassembled. First thing, put the barrel back in. And we already had our spring and guide rod assembly reassembled, so we just need to put that back in. And then put the slide back on the gun, on the frame of the gun. There we go. Make sure that's seated correctly. Then check the functioning of the gun, and we can dry fire. And that's it. That's how you clean the Ruger LCP.